Yesterday was an absolutely huge day for ICP, and I want to ask the question, will this actually finally flip ICP's fortunes, or are we going to be stuck in the price swamp for the undetermined future here? I really don't know, but I want to talk about what we're seeing, some of the things that could indicate some positive news, and then obviously if you've seen a price chart lately, some of the negative news. So let's go ahead, we'll check all of it out. I'm going to show you kind of all the things that we are seeing here. First off, let's take a look at the ICP price. So ICP price, of course, as you can tell, not looking great. We saw it break down kind of during that massive liquidation event. And then of course we saw a little bit of that, that bounce to the upside. And then we are seeing some price dropping here. Now, of course, holding at this kind of $3.20 level would be very important and good for us to see. There's no guarantee whether it will or won't, right? We have no idea for sure. Ideally, we hope that it does, because this is kind of the next major level of support that we've seen over the past several years. I mean, below that, we could be seeing prices as low as like the high twos, which we did actually see in this liquidation event. I mean, we actually saw prices well below that, right? But I mean, this was kind of the first level at which we found support here. So there is that possibility that maybe we come back into the high twos. We just really don't know for sure, but we have seen caffeine launch to the general public. That is the news of the day. We're going to be talking about all of that. And ideally we can see this, ICP's fortunes start to turn around. I mean, step one is get back within this kind of range bound area we were in. That is kind of obviously the step one. And then after that, hopefully we can break out and start to see some upward momentum from there. I'm going to zoom out and show you kind of the journey that we've been through over the past year or so. And obviously it does not look great, kind of recently. We are at the lows that we had seen kind of prior to this run up in all of 2024. And then again, we saw another kind of smaller run up in 2025. So we are now at the lows that we've kind of seen prior to all of that. So if you bought basically at any time before like mid-October of 2023, you are probably sitting in a loss, which is of course an unfortunate situation to be in. But I personally have actually started to go in and buy a little bit more here, just to kind of average down on the price for where it's at. This might be really stupid, but for where it's at, I do think that it probably makes sense to do that. And then, we'll just kind of see where things go from there. As you can see from a Bollinger Bands and an RSI perspective, both, we're kind of sitting towards the bottom of both, and price is looking relatively weak still. But I do think that there is the possibility that we see this start to flip with the launch of caffeine. Now, again, we have no idea to know that for sure, but I did want to show you kind of the announcement and some more details around that. But first, I also did want to show you, yes, we are seeing some negative price action for ICP, but we're really seeing that kind of throughout the entire altcoin market because we are back down into fear. Generally, fear is a decent time to buy, or I would say a good time to buy, and extreme fear is a great time to buy. Just again, historically, we don't actually know that for sure. There's no guarantees for anything in life, but generally that's how it's been. I mean, you can see here Bitcoin price, every time it hits into the fear, you can see, or even extreme fear in cases, you can see this marks near the bottom of where we end up. And then we usually tend to see price go up. And then when we get into greed, it usually marks at or near the top. So again, that is, just something to keep in mind. And so with this, I have been kind of playing both shorts and longs. So as you can see here on Solana, I have done a short. I've already taken some profit here, which is really good. And then we're of course kind of letting this run. I do think we can come back and kind of clear this full wick here back at the 175 range. Nobody knows for sure, but that is kind of what I'm thinking right now. I also am starting to average down on Bitcoin. So you'll see here, I do have a short open on Bitcoin, which is already in profit. Similar type of thing. We've locked profit and then we're letting it run. I also think it can kind of clear maybe back down to 105. I do have another one set at about like 107 or 106. But then you can see here, we also have longs coming in. So this first long is actually green currently because we actually caught like the bottom of this wick. And then we have several others that are down currently. I personally am not super worried about it because I do think that we will see Bitcoin recover sooner rather than later, But again, we don't know for sure. It might take a long time, and then maybe I'll be sitting in these for a while. But again, I'm using low leverage, so I don't really care a whole lot. We can see the liquidation price here is kind of in the low 90s. If we get close to the low 90s, I can go in and add more margin to each of them and just make sure that, you know, the position is being managed. But for right now, you know, this is kind of where we're sitting, and we're trying to kind of trade both directions to make sure that we're set up for that hopefully inevitable bounce. I did release a video earlier talking about kind of why I think that could happen. I don't want to deviate too much from the topic of this video, which is Caffeine AI and ICP. So if you are interested, feel free to check out that video. And if you are interested in starting to trade, of course, you can use my links in the description. BTCC currently having the best deposit bonus there at 10%. So it's really, really good, especially if you're looking to average down on your ICP positions. That could be a great way to just get 10% extra for free. I mean, it seems like a pretty good deal if you ask me. So if you are interested, of course, I do have those in the links in the description below. Now, I want to check out the the Caffeine AI announcement. This is actually the email that I got. We can see here, Caffeine is now open to everyone, and you made it happen. So it is now not a permissioned thing anymore. Anybody can use Caffeine, and I'm going to be very interested to kind of see what happens here. They've made a really strong and concentrated push to just provide this to general users. No one really even needs to know that it's on crypto or on ICP or has anything to do with either of them, because that's not maybe necessarily the point here. Here we can see on June 3rd, you know, we opened up the World Computer Summit. On July 15th, we did Hello Self-Writing Internet. This is when people were like actually able. They kind of previewed it on June, launched it in July, and then this is where we got that closed alpha version. I've used it. I've made videos about it. If you want to check it out, of course you can. You can look at my previous videos, or it's now open to the public. So feel free to go sign up and check it out yourself. We could see 15,000 users have joined. It was a demo, all this type of stuff, you know, creating self-writing apps of all different shapes, sizes, forms, all that type of thing. But now we can see that they are now open to the world. Anybody and everybody can use Caffeine. I do think this is, of course, massive news. I'm super, super bullish about what's going on here. And so hopefully we can see this start to flip ICP's fortunes. Again, we don't know for sure. There's absolutely no way to know with certainty here, but I am hopeful that we do see this happen. I want to go back and check out a couple of different tweets that we have seen. First one here from Dominic. Of course, you can see he says, once Caffeine AI users can push their app's code to GitHub, ICP will absolutely dominate these stats. I think that's probably fair, right? Because what we see here is we have the Ethereum. Actually, we'll pull this up to full screen. We can see this is the Ethereum ecosystem. So this accounts Ethereum and all layer 2s. So of course, a bit of an advantage there. And then of course, from there, Solana, Bitcoin, Polygon, which is kind of tangentially related to Ethereum, but it's sort of its own thing. And then from there, we can see Sui, BNB, Polkadot, and then ICP from there. Once Caffeine AI users can push their code to GitHub, that means essentially everybody's a developer that is using it is a developer on the Internet Computer Protocol, and this will absolutely like balloon their stats like crazy. It's kind of my assumption. I think there's a lot of people, you know, that kind of believe that as well, though it may be slightly less misleading because they're not actually working on the chain. They might just be kind of doing their own thing. But again, with crypto to have mass adoption, I guess that's really not even the point, is it? Right. And so I am very interested to see how this changes over time. We'll have to see. I do think that, you know, we will see this shift, even if it's not, you know, absolutely dominating these stats. I do think we could see people kind of moving, or we could see ICP kind of moving up the rung here, which would of course be great to see. So we will have to wait. We'll have to check this out and just kind of see where we go. Again, you know, I don't know that there's really any kind of dancing around it or you know, explaining it, other than we have seen just a really, really poor price performance from the ICP coin and from the ICP ecosystem. You can do one of two things with this. You can say the system, you know, it's a dead crypto, it's a scam, it's all this type of stuff. Basically check any of my comment sections in any ICP video that we make, and you can find any sort of comments there similar to that. Or you can take the other route and say, well, you know, this I believe in what they're building. I think something like Caffeine AI can be a major product that is kind of that breakthrough product for not even just ICP, but crypto as a whole for mass adoption. There's really only a couple of things that have truly seen mass adoption as they relate to crypto. I would say Polymarket is one, and probably stablecoins is the other. And so, in order to have that level of breakthrough, I do think that this is a type of product that can do it. Now, again, we'll have to see. There is no guarantees in life. But if you do believe that, then maybe this is a good time to be buying, to be averaging down. And this is what I have done. I've opened up a little bit more of an ICP position. I'd kind of told you in previous videos that I wasn't going to. But with the full release of Caffeine, I figured, why not? Let's see how it goes. And so, anyway, that is kind of my plan. That's what I've been doing. Of course, this is not a solicitation to buy. This is not financial advice. This is not any of that. This is just my opinions on what I am doing. Now, again, one of the things that I have seen that it just never ceases to amaze me is just kind of the groupthink kind of mindset that we have with just as humans generally. Now, of course, there's like an evolutionary reason for this. We can get into that in a different video. That's not the topic of this one. But what you can see here is gold queues all around the world. These are people standing in line to buy gold after it has doubled in price. Make it make sense, right? But I mean, this is kind of the whole point of this post here is, here's your exit liquidity. These are gold queues, price up equals good tech. And I think that's ultimately what it boils down to. And I think ultimately that's kind of the side of the fence that I am on as it relates to ICP. There's so many people that say, oh my gosh, ICP's terrible, ICP's bad, ICP's garbage, yada, 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 because this is what they're looking at. And yeah, I mean, yes, price is down. I can't fight that. I'm not even going to try to. I mean, I know I have eyes, right? I can see that price is down. Thank you, Captain Obvious. But what I am taking the other side of, which is look at what's happened, right? I mean, look at what we've seen even just right here. So I'm just juggling 1,000 tabs. Caffeine is a very cool product. Is it, world, unique and, the only product in the world that can do this? No, but that does it matter, right? I mean, there's a whole bunch of ChatGPT is not the only generative AI tool, but it's still really cool, right? And so I think that to me is the point here is that, they are doing stuff, they are building objectively, in my opinion, good tech. You can debate whether it has commercial success or not. I would completely, I think that makes total sense. It may not have commercial success, but it is good tech. And I think that this is really kind of this encapsulates perfectly where we're at on ICP. Price is down, nobody wants to be here, it's bad tech. But have it pull a 10x and all of a sudden it's good tech again, right? And so that to me is kind of what we're waiting for. And this is what we could potentially see with some sort of breakout success for ICP. Again, I'm not guaranteeing it's going to happen. Might not even be possible. I don't know, but that is ultimately kind of the nature of the beast when we talk about people, kind of following good tech and good products. So that is ultimately what I have to talk about today. Apologies for a bit of the rambliness at the end, but I do think it's really important to understand just how human psychology works and why good tech does not directly always follow price. And if you're looking at it that way, I don't know what to tell you. Best of luck. So anyway, that's what I've got. Hopefully you found the information in this video useful. If you did, of course, you know what to do. I really do appreciate it. I would also love to hear any comments that you do have. What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on these crazy gold queues? This is kind of mind-boggling to me. I didn't even think gold was that sexy of an asset to own. So the fact that there are gold queues is pretty wild. But yeah, I'd love to hear anything that you guys have in terms of comments, questions, anything like that. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next one.